Hi everyone, it's Tasleem here. I hope you're having an amazing long weekend. Happy Easter. I was outside for a bit and it's a beautiful sunny day here in Vancouver, but it's still cold. And I was like, that's okay. I'm going to come back inside. I'm really excited to do this video, so I'm here. Thank you so much for listening. So this video is part of a series of videos that I've been doing about the chakras and the 5 elements of Chinese medicine and how they relate to dance for me personally. Today, can you guess which dance I'm focusing on? I know that's a silly question because it's in the title, but salsa. I don't think I've really talked about salsa in this series, so I'm really, really excited to do that because for me today, I'm going to be talking about how salsa connected me to the wood element of Chinese medicine, which I also have not talked about yet, but I'm revisiting as well the root chakra for you guys in this video. So you might be thinking, well, you brought up the root chakra in talking about kizomba. Yes, I did, but what I find really interesting is, for me personally, I think that each dance has brought up different aspects sometimes of the different chakras or the different elements. So today I'm going to tell you firstly how this relates to a specific aspect of the root chakra that maybe I didn't talk about previously when I talked about kizomba, and then I'm going to bring in the wood element. So for me, salsa kind of represents, like, it's a metaphor for the root chakra, or is it the other way around? What I mean by that is that the root chakra is at the base of our spine, and it's often referred to as like the first chakra going up the spine. And all the chakras, remember, are spinning energies in our body. They all feed into each other. So if you imagine that the root chakra is at the base of the spine and it's feeding into all the other chakras, I feel like that's what salsa did for me, because I started with salsa, and salsa gave me a base to not just salsa dancing, but to dancing in general and to all the other dances I didn't know I was going to be doing later on. It also served as a place of belonging for me because I didn't have like a sporty background. I didn't have something that taught me like muscle memory or that kind of thing. I thought I was kind of clumsy and not so sure-footed on my feet. And so coming into salsa, I was really like coming in with trepidation. Like, is this going to work for me? How am I going to be able to do this? And I would watch people doing it, and I thought, like, this is way beyond anything. Like, I've never done anything like this. But the amazing thing is that I had instructors, and I found the right places and really learned that it can be learned. And so it gave me a really welcoming feeling into the dancing world. It gave me a welcoming feeling into the salsa scene. It brought me a sense of belonging into the community. And maybe in other areas of my life, I didn't realize that I didn't have that sense of belonging necessarily. Like, I may have felt a bit out of place in some areas that I thought I should feel in place in, like maybe my cultural upbringing or my some aspects of my family or some circles of friends. But when I went to salsa, it was like everyone here is of all different shapes, ages, sizes, like cultural backgrounds, skin colors, yet we all belonged because we all shared this passion for this amazing dance. And it was the first place that I felt that, like, I could go to a festival and not know someone and share rooms with people that came from all different countries, all different cities. And it was totally cool and totally, like, really worked really well because we were all going to the festival to take workshops with international instructors, and everybody was so friendly. And I felt like it didn't even matter what level you were at. It was more that you just loved the dance and wanted to get better at it. So I really connect that sense of belonging, purpose, sense of safety, sense of grounding to the root chakra. This sense of like, I belong here, and I have a purpose here, and I feel like my feet are on the ground, and I can actually say like, I'm allowed to be here. And sometimes we don't feel that way, and Salsa gave me the sense like, oh, maybe Tasleem, you can actually dance. Like, it was it was like my gateway into the dancing world. Just like for me, when I think of the root chakra, it's like the first chakra, and it's like gateways into the other chakras and into the other energy centers. So, and the base chakra and the lower chakras, I mean lower parts of our body, are supposed to have like heavier, denser energy. So sometimes they're slower moving than the upper chakras, like the upper part of the body. And I felt like that also was really, really connected for me in terms of salsa, because salsa taught me how to feel my weight. Like, I didn't have anything that gave me a sense of like what it feels like to know that you have weight in your body, to feel embodied, to feel where your weight is, like how to transfer your weight through the floor, how to connect with your partner and connect with the music. So salsa was giving me all these foundational things. And foundation, again, is really big, a really big part of the root chakra. It's giving me foundational things that I would need later to use in other dances. Even the sense of a frame, like I had never heard of that, and how to like release tension or give more tension or pressure into a partner or with a partner to connect, to make certain moves happen. So all of this for me is really like a foundation, grounding, sense of purpose, which for me, and belonging, trust, safety, security, that is all a part of the root chakra. And because I had this rootedness through salsa, even in terms of the music, like it started teaching me how to listen to the music and to feel it in my body and to find the one, like the main beat. You know, that to me is also a sense of like grounding, a sense of like where to start off. Again, that's like a base purpose, a pivot point. Like it's you hear it and then you feel it in your body. And I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to do something like this, and to build strength and to have agility and all of that. So it really set a foundation for me in my body and in my sense of belonging in a dance community. How this relates to the wood element is that the wood element is really all about being really direct, which, if you've watched my videos, apparently, I mean, I think you can tell I'm not the most direct. Like, I need to work on my wood element because my videos would be much shorter if I was more in my wood element. I'm working on it, but I do have other aspects of wood element, which is like to persevere, to get things done. You speak up, you don't procrastinate so much. Like you know what needs to get done and you get it done. And actually, wood element people, we all have wood elements, all the elements in us. So we have the wood element in us as well. But if someone is more predominantly a wood element person, they have more this sense of like control. Like they need to have control. They like to only do things that they're good at, because they want to look like they want to feel good and feel in control of things. And they usually come across really confident, and they also walk into a room with a weight. Like, even if they're not a big person, they can be kind of more of a stocky build, but they don't have to necessarily be tall or whatever, but they come into a space with confidence, like you feel their presence. And I feel like that really relates again to what I was saying about the root chakra, which is like you feel this weightedness, like you feel your weight in the ground, you feel that you're allowed to be here. And so because the wood element type of person really wants to have control, they can be quite systematic and mathematical in the way they do things. Usually everything's quite organized around them. They like to plan, they like to like their space around them, they know where things are at and they get to them easily and efficiently. Like they're very efficient in how they go about going about doing things, and they don't really let people tell them what to do. Like they're very, when they set their mind on something, they don't waver so much on it. How this relates to salsa for me is that some of you may have a completely different experience of how you learn salsa. Because for me, I did learn salsa very systematically. And some of you might be thinking, oh, that's so sad. Like, especially if salsa is part of your background or your upbringing. Like if you did it as a child and you did it very organically and you just, you know, someone said, just feel the music, and you just felt it. Because I'm sure when I watched it, that's what drew me to it, when it looked organic and it just looked like something way beyond anything I could do, because I was like, I don't know how people do that. I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, it looks like something you can't learn. But thankfully in my situation, I was taught it in a way that I could learn it. And that for me, at that time, I must admit, needed to be as systematic as it was. I needed to have the counts that people gave me. I needed to have a map of, like, a cross-body lead is a line. Like, we would practice going in a line and watching each of our steps, like to make sure that we were traveling in a line, and spotting, like looking at where you're going. Like, it's a very directional thing, which to me is very much about the wood element. And the control aspect for me in salsa was that, like, even when, you know, when I would listen about how the lead, like, would prep a move, like we would imagine, okay, there's a clock and the prep might be like 7 to 11, like you're moving your arm like this, or you turn on the count 5 or 4 or 4.5, or you can do your own move in count 1, 2, 3, whatever it was. And even just the basic idea that, you know, for the women on one, in terms of on one salsa, LA style salsa, that we would step back on the right foot on 1 and step forward with the left foot on 5. I needed all of that. Like, I know people would come into salsa classes and they'd be like, I can't learn with counting like that. I just need to feel it. Or they would tell me, you just need to feel it. And I was like, no. I kind of wanted to say, screw you. I'm not in that zone of feeling yet. Like, I haven't learned how to do any of this stuff yet. So I need that structure. I need the clock. I need the 7 and 11 and I need the visuals to imagine it. I need the mathematical design to help me figure out which way I need to go. And so all of that really, for me, reminds me of the wood element. It's purposeful. There's no meandering. There's structure. There's methodical, like, planning. And I learned salsa that way. And, you know, for me, also the idea of learning that when you get that base, then you can break the rules. Like, but you need to learn the base and need to learn the structure in order to get it into your muscle memory first, and then stack things on top of that, layer on top of that, the styling, the embellishments, the, you know, whatever it is, like using your hands more, using your like using textures more, whatever it was. But because I even learned that, it gave me a base again for the root chakra, connecting the root chakra, and it gave me this element that is very all about direction, straight, like a straight shooter, you know, like a wood element, predominantly wood element person doesn't like dilly-dally, is that the right word? I don't know why I came up with that, but like they go straight for what it is that they're going for. And I felt like even the energy of how I started with LA Salsa, it was all that kind of sharp, fast, get right to it, don't procrastinate, don't beat around the bush. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, beat it around the bush. Just get right to it. And so I wanted to share this with you because I know, first of all, there's also different styles of salsa. Like technically, I kind of started with Cuban salsa, which has a different feel to this. But interestingly enough, the instructor that taught me Cuban salsa years ago was very militaristic, and he had this like, so a wood element archetype for wood element is kind of like a military kind of soldier. That could be an archetype for it. But again, I'm not saying that Cuban salsa or LA salsa or definitely like onto salsa, like the New York style salsa, they might not have the flavor or feel of like this wood element, which is very direct, straight line, mathematical, you know. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that the way that I learned it made me connect that element to the learning style. And it actually became, it actually was a benefit to me, because I came from a science background first, then a teacher who plans a lot of things. And even in my artsy side, like doing visual art and English literature and poetry, I still was very much in my head instead of my body or in my heart and spontaneous. So as much as I would have liked to be able to just say, oh, I'm going to learn this dance like really organically, and just tell me to feel it and I will just copy you and all of it will turn out wonderfully, I'm kind of glad that's not how it happened, because it would have been way too big of a jump for me to go from scientific minded, planning, being able to chunk things. Like even when I was teaching, I was able to break things apart to teach in chunks. And that's how I learned salsa, thankfully. And I needed that because it took me like one step at a time into this new challenge, into this new world for me. But if you had taken me from planning in my head, you know, scientific, a little bit more mathematical, and then just thrown me into the deep end of like, just feel this dance and just be organic about it, I would have been freaking out that it's a new thing for me. I don't know how to get out of my head and into my body. Like, it's too many things at once. And thankfully I had teachers that knew how to break down moves and how to maybe target different types of learners, like, and a person that maybe already had the organic, but then someone like me that needed more of the structure, more of that wood element type of feeling, and also like I said, it gave me a grounding, it gave me a foundation that even now, this month, I've been working on going back to practicing some salsa moves, and it feels so good because it feels like home. I never thought I would say that about any dance, but it's where I started. And when I do it now, it feels like almost comfortable, I want to say, or my body remembers it more because it feels grounding, it feels foundational, it feels like I belong there. And I know that whenever I would go into Zouk, or I would go into Tango, or I would go to Kizomba, and especially when these were new dances for me, I was so grateful when there was a salsa room somewhere next door, or even maybe bachata, because they're quite related, because I would be like, okay, I need to get that sense of security and safety and familiarity for a little bit before I delve back into that scary new world of Kizomba or Zouk or Tango, because that was a whole other world for me. But I could always count on going back to salsa to remind me about connection, to remind me of groundedness, to remind me of hearing the music and feeling the floor, and connecting to my partner and feeling my own weight, and trusting in muscle memory, and reminding myself that I did this in salsa so I can do it in other dances. And so I wanted to share this with you. I would love to hear what dance you started with. Like, did you start out doing partner dance, or was it solo dance? Are you doing some other activity that's not dance that really brought you muscle memory to begin with? And can you see how that created a foundation for other sports or other body type activities, embodied activities? How did that help you? I would love to hear from you. And also the wood element, what do you think about it? Like, it's someone who's really perseverant and goes after what they want. Where do you do that in your life? Where do you think you might need to do more, work on that more? I know for me, it's in my videos and in my writing, because sometimes I don't just get right to the punchline. But I like to tell stories, and I like to share some things organically with you. So thank you for listening, and I will talk to you all soon.